think that a lot of schools that have high dreamer populations have done a good job of educating their teachers. So when I first started at Bruce Randolph, and I'm learning and like trying to understand how to best support students, I worked with a few teachers that were like, these students don't come to class, they don't care, they're failing. And I'm like, if you only knew like what their story was, like why would they, like I understand why do they care about school at in so this was like class of 2012, so 2011 2012, DACA hadn't come out yet. And so the conversation was like, well, what are you going to do? Do you have money to pay for college? The answer for most of them was no. So it's like, well, I'm going to go work construction, so why do I need to be here? It's what I'm going to do the rest of my life, and that's hard. So I worked with the administration to say we need to like let teachers know this type of language is unacceptable. One of the first teachers that I met and was going to work closely with, he'd been like, I don't know what to do with the illegal students. And I was like, I know I met you like 3 hours ago, but you can't say that. And I told him like how hurtful and damaging that word was for students. And he was like, oh, I never thought of that. And then like I heard him correcting people, which is pretty powerful, to then have like a white man going to other teachers saying, hey, that word is really harmful to students. Here are the reasons why. Maybe try using some of these other words. So trying to shift a culture in a school also, not that the teachers were misintentioned, not well-intentioned, but just because they didn't know any better, because that's not their lived experience. They haven't had close relationships with people from those communities. So having the education for the teachers, then we also did some campaign with signs that say like, this is a safe space for Dreamer students. I support undocumented students, undocumented, unafraid. So just also having visual things was really powerful for teachers, which is kind of silly because it's kind of like a peer pressure thing at the same time that like everyone else came by the teacher center of the college room and got one of these signs. And so if you're one of the teachers who didn't, like, where do you stand in like a high need school with a large undocumented student population? But then I heard a few students, because the teacher center is like a pretty safe space because we also don't hold students accountable with their grades. So like they're like, well, you're not like really a teacher. And you're like, I'm not a teacher, but I'm definitely an adult in charge. But saying, oh, I saw that Miss So-and-so had the sign you guys have. I didn't know she was down like that. I was like, yeah, she's down like that, which is kind of cool that students are like, oh, well, I thought that teacher was pretty horrible before, but I see they're trying to be supportive and I can get on board with that. So I think like those types of things and in explaining the importance with the teachers is helpful. The other thing is that in Denver, I think that this past year they didn't have a conference, there is Keeping the Dream Alive. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. If you can.
Okay. So it was a conference that started from Bruce Randolph students in partnership with Denver Scholarship Foundation and a few other nonprofits to educate professionals on how to support students. So a lot of high school counselors, not necessarily teachers, but started in Bruce Randolph. The first year we held like a 3-hour half-day conference in December to just say, here are some scholarships. Here's the Colorado Asset, or Ascent, sorry, not Asset, wasn't how to advocate for Asset, the in-state tuition, but Ascent, which is a 5th-year program that students can still stay technically in high school but take college classes and the district pays for it. So just some resources because educators were asking for it and no one was really like putting it out there. It was like, call this person who will tell you to call this other person, and then maybe you might get answers. And then as DACA came out and then Colorado Asset passed, and then more colleges having more institutional funds to give out in scholarships for college, being able to say, hey, here are the pathways, here are easy ways to talk about them, here's a scholarship list for students. So that way when you're talking about scholarships for all students, you can say like, well, I have a special list for my Dreamer students. So if you're a Dreamer student, come by and get this piece of paper or take it off the table or however you do it. So trying to educate people because you don't know what you don't know, and we're trying to minimize the harm for these students. And so this conference was huge because it's like nice to be in a room of over 100 people to be like, okay, like I'm not alone in this fight, because sometimes it's heartbreaking. And so it's nice to know that you're with other people and to network and to say, oh, I got a list of lawyers that can help my students, because like we are not lawyers. We do not want to touch the legal pieces. But who do you even refer them to? Because the lawyer people that these families go to are not, no, they're not lawyers. They're usually notaries that give them bad information and overcharge them and maybe never send their legal paperwork in. So giving them like actual legitimate resources.